Hello guys, welcome back to 20 Minutes Movie. This is the film story of few out of one's mind doctors who play a strange game. In this game, they used to end a person in such a way that no one could tell how he died. So the main character is shown, whose name is Ted. Some time ago, he completed his studies and now he is a doctor. At this time, he was with his wife, who was refusing to let him go. Actually, he was going to a hospital in another city to practice his medical sense. After that, he was going to stay there. Ted was very intelligent. He topped in medical studies. He then reached the hospital where he met a man who takes him to the lab. The name of the lab was Pathology. There were a lot of doctors here. By checking the no longer with us medically, they were tearing their skin. After a while, Ted takes a lecture from the most famous professor here, who is also a doctor. As soon as the lecture is over, Ted meets the professor because he already knew him. The next day, the professor and all his doctors were checking the no longer with us of a child. The senior doctor, Jake, tells everyone the reason for the death of this child. How did he die? Ted was listening to him carefully, but Jake did not agree with the way he died. He does not agree, and according to him, he checks the no longer with us and tells the reason for his death. After hearing this, the professor says that yes, the way Ted told is right, not Jake's. This is how he died. I agree with Ted. After hearing this, Jake got very angry. He threw the file and went away because for the first time today, someone proved him wrong. That too, a person who had not even been here for 2 days. After work, when Ted was going home from the hospital, a doctor pushed him and said, "None of us like you." He finds this strange, but he just leaves here as a joke. The next day, another man's no longer with us comes to him to check. When the professor was telling about the no longer with us, the no longer with us started moving suddenly. After a while, the no longer with us is armed, because for a while, the brain remains alive, and he does not know that the whole container is dead. Seeing this, Ted hits the head with a pointed object on his neck, due to which the connection between the brain and the container of the no longer with us breaks. After finishing the work, when Ted started going from there, the boy came to Ted, who brought him here. He tells Ted that I am very impressed with your work. You do a very good, perfect job. Because of your ability, I want to be friends with you, for which Ted agreed and they became friends. At this time, Ted sees that all the doctors working with me are going somewhere, who are looking at him and smiling strangely. Ted did not know where he was going, but he feels a little strange. But ignoring them, he also leaves from there. The next day, all the doctors were doing their job like every day. They were medically checking the no longer with us. At some point, Jake comes to Ted and says, "Come on, you two. All of us doctors are going to a club to party." Ted did not like it before. He was missing his wife. Ted also agrees to go. All the doctors then come to the party and enjoy a lot. They drink alcohol. Here Ted found out that the female doctor is a very good friend of Jake. Here she was talking about this. Is it possible that we ended a person in such a way that the real reason for his death could not be found in his report? She then asks Ted that if you get a chance to end someone like this, will you end him? To which Ted replies that no, I can't do this. The girl's no longer with us that we checked yesterday. Someone ended that girl just because of her laptop. It is the nature of humans to end. Then even if there is a small reason behind it, and such cruel laws have been made for humans, here, whatever we talk on this topic is useless, because we can't end anyone. No one has so much courage. But what did he know that this is what he is saying in front of people? Ending people is their daily job, and they have done such things that Ted can never think about. Anyway, such people talk and enjoy the party. When the whole night started, Jake tells Ted that I want to meet you again like this. But yes, next time we are alone, only you and me. The next day, when the two meet, they drink a lot. Drunk, they drive a car at high speed. Jake then takes Ted behind a building. Ted was very drunk here. He sees that Jake is talking to a man who is a goon. He comes inside the house and sees a woman and a child. I even thought that why did Jake bring me here? But he was so drunk that he falls down immediately. The next morning when it happened, Ted's intoxication did not go down. When he comes to the Pathology lab to work, he sees that the goons no longer with us has come to check today, which Jake was saying last night. And seeing this, Ted's intoxication went down. Then all the doctors together start telling the professor the reason for the death of that goon. Jake was quietly listening to all of them because he had ended this goon, and he knew that no doctor here would be able to tell the real reason for his death. But then Ted comes and tells that this man has been hit on the head, but before attacking, He was given poison. Here he also tells the name of the poison, saying that the Ender gave this poison because he knew that this poison cannot be found in any lab. This poison will not be tested in any report. First of all, he was given poison, then the Ender waited for 7 hours. After that, he attacked him 18 times and then shot him. After hearing all this, Jake was impressed with Ted, but he was also very angry with him. Why is he so smart? How did he find out everything? That's why he picks up the heart of the goon and throws it on Ted. Then Jake calls Ted to meet him after work is over. When Ted goes, Jake takes him to the hospital basement, which was 100 years old. There was the no longer with us of that goon. Ted says to him, "What have you brought here to show? I know you ended him." Jake said, "What difference does it make? There are about millions of people in this city. No one will care about his death. And anyway, if I ended him, it was a good thing. He was a bad person. And here every day the process of the bodies coming is not like this. In fact, this is a game. It's a game of death, in which you also join. It's a lot of fun. I hope you will also like it a lot. One of these doctors used to end an innocent person, while the rest checked that container medically and told how his death must have been and who can end him. He used to tell the doctor who ended him the reason for his death, and also that how did you end him. These mad doctors were playing this strange game for many years. But Ted refuses because he feels that Jake is a murderer who only ends innocent people for his fun and enjoyment. Jake says to him, "I have understood. You will not listen to me. If you don't want to listen, then run away from here for now. This is better for you." When Ted started going from there, he sees that Jake is not alone in this strange game of death. In fact, there are other people who all play this game together. After knowing all this, Ted got very worried. Thinking about this, he does not sleep all night. How did Jake tell me all this so easily? Or he is not afraid of going to jail by the police. In a state of worry, he calls Jake, but his worry increases further when Jake tells him that near the no longer with us in the basement, I have left your fingerprints and some evidence. If you tell the police about this, then first they will catch you, not me. The next day, the professor tells Ted that the information you gave about the murder of the goon was false. That is, you told that he was given poison, while he did not get any poison in his container. Jake was very happy to hear this, because he felt that I ended him very cleanly, about which no one can ever tell. But Ted meets him alone and says, "Now I will tell you the truth. How did you end him? He was beaten up thinking that he was dead, although he was alive. Then you ripped his skin alive. Then he went to the basement and hit his head 18 times, which ended him." Hearing this, Jake lost his mind because Ted was right, and he caught Jake. After this, we see that Ted was getting worried because he knew that I was working in the midst of madmen. One day when he was sitting alone, Jake's friend, the female doctor, comes to him and asks, "Will you play with us in this game?" But when Ted does not say anything, she introduces him and says that this is a new case in our hospital. Now you will see this. Then when Ted goes to the lab, an injured man was brought there who first shot his wife and 2 children and then tried to lose his nature-given blessings himself, but somehow he survived, whose condition was very bad. Here Ted remembers one thing about Jake, that some people have no right to live, and those people are bad people who do wrong things. That's why that man's mother sucks his wallet and burns his face so that he can't scream. Then the poison injection is put in the ear and ends him. Jake saw him doing this. That's why he says to Ted, "Maybe you won't sleep tonight. You will see news on TV again and again. Is there any news about me?" It is not being told that Ted has committed this murder, but gradually you will realize that no one cared about him, and after that day you will become a different person, just like us, not afraid of anyone, ending fearless people, whether they are good people or innocent people, after which Ted also becomes a part of their game. One night they were playing this game by getting intoxicated and were doing strange things to each other. Ted was seeing all this with his own eyes. The poison was strange, but now he also started enjoying this game. The next day when his eyes opened, he sees that all the people have left me in 20 minutes. Now he ran and came up immediately. He sees that everyone is doing their work like this. It is so normal, as if nothing happened last night. Now Jake's friend was a female doctor. She was getting very close to Ted. Along with her, she takes Ted to a man's house and tells him that this man is my father, who did a lot of wrong with me and my mom in childhood, and now the next time to die in this game is for him. I want you to help me in this. Saying this, she pretends to cry. Ted also feels that a lot of wrong has happened to him, so to support him, He agreed. He puts a chemical in that man's mouth, which was so cold that his lungs freeze and become stone. Seeing this, the female doctor punches him hard and breaks all the bones and muscles, due to which he suffered so much that he died on the spot. Then his container was brought to the lab to be checked, so that we can know how his death happened and who can end him. In this case, catching the murderer and finding the cause of death was not a big deal for Jake. He knew that he was ended by my friend female doctor, but he was also surprised. How can a girl end such a tall, strong man alone? He was doubting. That's why he comes to Ted and asks, "Are you cheating in this game?" Because all the doctors have to end their own patients without anyone's help. So did you support him? Ted laughs and refuses him. No brother, there is nothing like that. What you are thinking. Hearing this, Jake started leaving from there, but he says, "Okay, last thing, did my friend tell you the false story of your dad? Because this is his habit. She does this with everyone." Hearing this, Ted was surprised because he had understood that Jake's friend has lied to me. In anger, he went to him and he feels threatened that now you have lied to me, but don't do this again. It won't be good. After which Ted meets him. He also ends all the people and also checks all the no longer with us, in which like the rest, he was also having a lot of fun. The boy who brought him here, who was his friend, he realizes that Ted's behavior is already getting very strange. He no longer lives with me. He lives with Jake. One day the professor comes to Ted and asks that you look very confused. Do you need any help? Because Ted was so busy in his work. He was having so much fun that he was not paying attention to his real life. Ted says, "No, there is no such thing. All this is fine. And if you think I am a little confused, then I am going to meet my wife. Everything will be fine then." Then Ted comes to his house. There he sees Jake's friend, who was a little sad because of his departure. But still Ted comes to his wife to spend a few days. His wife was also clearly seeing that Ted is a little changed, but Ted distracts him that there is nothing like this and everything is hidden from him. He doesn't tell anything. Now when it's time for him to go back, then his wife also insists to go with him. Ted didn't want to go with him, but he couldn't stop him from insisting again and again. When he came back to Ted's house, there were bloodstains. Now before his wife sees, Ted clears all the marks, but still there Ted's wife gets packets of chemical substances, about which she starts answering questions. "What is this? You have started doing chemical substances." On which Ted says, No, keep it. This is not mine. Last night my friends came and had a party here, by mistake. They must have forgotten. Anyway, the next day these two go to the party, where Jake and the rest of the people had also come. Jake's friend, when she sees Ted's wife, she started getting jealous. That's why she spoils her mood, goes away from everyone, and doesn't talk to anyone. When Jake saw this, she got very angry because he knew that there is something between him and Ted. Although she was my friend, Ted takes his wife away, after which Jake starts getting angry with his friend in front of everyone, and he goes away from there. When Ted and his wife were sleeping at home, Jake called him at midnight. Ted thought, maybe he is calling me to play a game, so he left immediately. But after going there, Ted gets up because Jake had ended 3 girls. Even he was doing out of one's mind things, as if he was falling again and again. Ted gets angry at him that you are doing a lot of wrong in the name of the game. You can't end so many people like this, so many people at once. But Jake tells him, "Stop your nonsense. I have called you here just to give you a warning. Stay away from everything, even from my friend. Although I know that you are not at fault in this. All my friends are doing this. They are after you. That's why I am not doing anything to you. Go away from here." When Ted came to his house, Jake's friend was waiting for him outside his house. Although Ted tells him to go away from here, but she started doing strange things with him, and Jake sees her doing this. It meant that there was no one's relative here. Everyone was cheating each other. The next day Ted tells Jake, "Enough is enough. I don't want to play this game anymore. This project answers that this can't happen. No one can leave this game. If you do this, then you will go to jail." He was threatening Ted here. Now he says, "Leave these things. Tomorrow we are going to check the no longer with us. I will have a lot of fun in it, but that no longer with us will surprise you." At the same time, Ted comes alone to the basement because he had decided to finish all this now. The next day, except Ted, all those people come together, and Ted starts thinking of getting out of his way. Almost everyone agreed that he should be ended from today's no longer with us. As soon as the curtain is removed, we see that he is no one else, but Jake's friend was a female doctor who was ended by Jake. No one was surprised to see him, or anyone. There was no difference in his death. But the clip is no longer with us and check. As soon as the lights are lit, suddenly there is a big explosion, because of which there is fire everywhere. If the fire burns, everyone dies. Now the whole plan was of Ted. That's why he was not with them at that time. The professor comes and tells Ted about this incident, and also that we got 4 no longers with us from inside. After hearing 4, Ted lost his mind, because there should have been 5 no longers with us, because there were 5 people inside, which means one of them is still alive, who escaped from there. And the next scene we see, that man is no one else but JT, who is going to Ted's wife's house to take his revenge, where he will end his wife. Ted was scared to know everything. Immediately he starts calling his wife, but when his wife does not pick up the call, then he got more worried. Immediately he starts running for his house, but by the time he reached home, it was too late, because his wife had died. Seeing him dead, Ted broke down. He starts crying by hugging him, and he was understanding the responsibility of all this. The next day the professor comes to him and says that I am very sad about your wife's death. Ted says that I don't want, if anyone else touches my wife, then I will check his container medically. After which Ted, to know the reason for his death, starts doing different tests by clipping the no longer with us. In his report he writes that my wife had a fatal disease. Because of that she was ended. One night when he was working till late, then quietly, JK came here and attacks Ted and makes him unconscious. Then he comes to his senses and says that I have come to take my revenge from you, in which condition I am today. Then he reads Ted's wife's report and starts laughing that you have made this report, the disease one. Wow, really this time you are a loser. You lost. I won. Ted can't believe that I have ended your wife. Before this, he ends Ted too. Ted's friend comes and puts chemicals on his face and makes him unconscious because Ted's friend knows the whole truth. Then Ted says to Jake that I have made this report on purpose so that my wife's family can't know that she has been ended. After which, he puts that chemical in Jake, in which a man lives for 7 minutes. A man can see and understand everything, but can't move his container. After which, Ted too, with all his hatred to take his revenge, starts clipping him alive. After which, obviously, he was in so much pain that he died in agony. And in this way, Ted ended everyone and took revenge on his wife and everyone else. He realized his own mistake. And with this film ends here. Thank you so much for your time.